Hi friends, I'm excited to share what we're using for second grade this year and how we use each subject. So this Beyond Little Hearts for His Glory by Heart of Dakota is going to be our spine for most of our subjects for this year. I have used this guide once with my oldest for first grade. My second oldest, we use some of it, but not completely. And then now my third oldest is going to be using it, but we're using it for second grade for her, and it is going to be a perfect fit for her. It's exactly where she is skill-wise, and that's a really important thing to know about Heart of Dakota. It says it's for ages 6 to 8, so it doesn't say like first to second grade. It all depends on the skill level of your child. So I would recommend going to the website to look at their placement chart, or even call them if you're interested in using this program, and they can direct you exactly which guide would be the best fit for your child. So this is what we're using for history, Bible, geography, science, copy work, all these things. And what I love about Heart of Dakota is several things. Number one, I love that it is Christ-centered. Everything points your child back to Christ. Every single history, story, science topic you read, it all goes back to the Creator. And I love that because I want them to see Him in everything that we do. It's not just a separate subject. It is the subject. It's the subject that's the most important. And so I want it to be intertwined with all that we do. I also love it because it is all laid out for me. So this is the table of contents. So it's going to give you every single unit and a unit is 5 days in these guides. And it's going to tell you what it's about. And then you're going to flip to, this is the introduction. So it's going to tell you all about how to approach each subject. But when you get to the first week of lessons, it lays out everything for you. Now this is great for a type A mom who wants to have all the boxes to check. But what I also like is it allows some flexibility. So I can read this and I can think, okay, so my child doesn't maybe need to do this exact thing, but she would benefit from doing something similar, but what if we did it this way? Or, oh, she doesn't need to know geography, but when we read this story, if there's something else that's really interesting, we can look up that. So it just gives you kind of the groundwork, and then you do whatever you want with it. And that is what I love, and that is the beauty of homeschooling. It's the freedom to adjust something to your needs. Now, I had to learn that for a long time. Like it took me a long time to get to that place to think, oh, well, I have to do this. No, you don't have to do that. If your kid already knows what the 7 continents and the oceans are, you don't need to do it. You can do something else, and that's okay. But I like that it at least gives me a place to start with. Okay, so let's tackle each subject. So history. So these are the books that go with it for history. You've got American Pioneers and Patriots, Boys and Girls of Colonial Days, and Stories of the Pilgrims. Now, I put contact paper on my books because we use them a lot, and I just know how my house works, and I know that it's going to get messed up and bent and all that stuff, and I'm weird about my books like that. But these are the books that it uses for history for this curriculum. This one is more of a chapter book, but I really like how it has comprehension questions at the end. This is kind of the life of the boys and girls, and this one has a few more pictures in it. This one has a significant more amount of pictures to go with the stories. And what I love about all these books is they read like stories. It's not, this is written by Christian Liberty Press. And so, are these two, but they're written so much like a storybook. It doesn't feel like you're just reading a bunch of facts. And so these are the main books that are used for history. So then you would look over here and you would see what you needed to read for that day for history. So you would need American Pioneers and Patriots, page 2 and 12. So this is what that history reading for the day looks like. So you would open up to page 2. And this is page 2. And then you would flip over to page 12 and you would read this to your child. Here's page 12. And then this is the activity to do with it. And the thing about the activity is it's all things that you typically would have on hand. Very rarely have I come across something and I just don't have it. So this would be outline a huge circle on the floor with masking tape. That's the earth. And then you explain to them what you're doing. And then on separate pieces of paper, they would write the different continents. And you would help the student tape each continent on the earth. And they would hop from here to there and crawl and twirl. And my kids that are hands-on, wiggly kids love stuff like this. And I think this is great for them. And I am not super creative with coming up, so I appreciate that she has this in here.
Thanks. So I haven't talked about the science text yet. So this is the science text that goes with the curriculum. It's also written by Christian Liberty Press. And the science isn't every day. I think it's 2 days a week. And so I just wanted to show you what a science activity and a science reading would look like. So this is an activity about the 5 oceans and about currents. And then this would be the reading for one day. I normally have my daughter read this on her own. So this is what page 45 looks like. And she would read this on her own. Sometimes if I have time, I'll read it to her. And then it has the picture that goes along with it. And then we do the assignment or the activity together.
Now, the Bible study, these are a memory verse every day. Like so starting on day 1, because it's by days, not like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So day 1 is a new memory verse. So this is Psalm 4:8. And then you would read this aloud with your child and learn this memory verse together. So you would make hand motions for it. And then on day 2, the child would do jumping jacks with it. And then day 3, you have a morning devotion that's typically connected to the scripture that you're reading. And then day 4, they're doing sit-ups so again, this is great for a wiggly kid that loves to do stuff like this. And then day 5, you are diving into some more scripture about whatever you've been learning about this week. So, but this isn't the memory verse. This is a different type of Bible study. And I love that she goes into a different study about this scripture or this topic, and we're diving in and we're reading whole passages from the Bible, and then we're discussing it together, and I love that. And then each day, as she goes about the memory verse, you have questions that you ask to your kid. Sometimes I don't ask them. Sometimes I ask whatever feels more natural to me, but I'm glad that I at least have it there. So if that day, for whatever reason, I'm just tired and I just cannot think, at least I have something to go off of, and it usually creates good discussion. Now, if your child does not know the answer to these, because I have come across this many times, my encouragement would be to let them try to answer. And then if they don't know, don't get frustrated or keep prodding them. Just answer it for them. And the most amazing thing will happen as you do that throughout this year. God will work in their heart, and they will start to realize the answers to these questions and how you want them to answer the questions. So, and this Hide 'em in Your Heart CD goes with this Bible study memory verse. And so after we read these things together, I have her listen to this. Now you can find these on YouTube. You don't have to buy the CD. They're on YouTube and on Spotify. I actually think the volume 1's on Spotify, not the volume 2, but you at least, you have it there for free if you don't want to buy it. And honestly, I have a harder time keeping up with CDs, and I just go on YouTube.
Okay, before I move on, I just want to point out that at the bottom of each of these boxes is a key idea, and it just kind of helps to bring all these together. So the Bible verse for this unit is, I will both lie down and sleep, for you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. And then when you read to the bottom of the box, the key idea, it says, even though the pioneers had a long, hard trip ahead of them, they knew that the Lord was watching over them. And it just brings in this idea that you're reading from history, that when the pioneers from Spain came to settle in Florida, they crossed the ocean in sailing ships, and travel was very different in those days. And then the geography, that explorers discovered that the earth had 7 continents. So those are just really quick ways to bring in all the ideas together.
So, all right, poetry and rhymes. So this is interesting. So for my different kids, I have different things. So my boys are not huge into poetry. Sometimes we just read them. But my daughter, she loves it. She loves reading it. She loves copying it. She loves drawing pictures about it. And so I let her, because that's what she enjoys. But I would encourage you, if your kid absolutely hates it, there is just no reason for you to push it. Read it, move on. Or you don't even have to read it if it's just not even keeping their attention, because chances are they are not retaining anything if you are forcing it or any of that. It's just not worth it. And it's not like a vital subject. So I would leave those struggles for things that are a little bit more important. And so a part of the language arts in this guide is having your child copy the poem, which again, my child enjoys this, and I actually like using copywork. I think copywork is great. I have them copy these memory verses. I have them copy lots of different things. I think it is a great approach to language arts, how they can learn how to form sentences correctly and see them written correctly, and I actually absolutely love that. Also in this guide, spelling. So day 1 through 4 is going to be a spelling list. Now in the back of the guide, she has, and I've put these little tabs at the top, so it just makes it so much easier for me. And I don't put them on the side because then they get smashed in the shelf. So each list, this would be like equivalent of grade 1, and this would be the equivalent of grade 2. So she did something different for grade 1, so we're using this list for grade 2. I love that it's only 10 words. It's so simple, and it doesn't really have to be more complicated than that. And so what you do on day 1 is you just have your child write the spelling words. So sometimes I write them on, I'll actually show you how I do it here. So I just wrote the words on her composition book, and then I just have her copy them a couple times on the first day. And then on the second day, it says that you would have your child write sentences. Or this is actually the third day, I'm sorry. The second day, I think they copied them again. And then the third day, they write sentences. So that's what we did. We came up with 5 sentences. I think it says 3, but she wanted to do more, which is fine. And so I just have her write the sentences and underline the spelling words, and then write the rest of the words that we didn't make sentences for. And that's super simple way of approaching spelling. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. The more that they copy, the more they increase in spelling. At least that's what I have noticed in my own children. I realize that some children have more difficult time when it comes to spelling. So obviously you should do whatever works for your family and for your child. But this is what works best for us. And so story time. I love that every 10 days you would change the story time type of book it is. So at the beginning, or 20 days, I'm sorry. So you would choose, like this first 20 days, it's a biography tile. And then after that, it's going to be, an adventure book. And in the back of the book, it gives you selected titles. So story time titles. So these are all the options she gives you for biography. But of course, you can use anything you want. Currently, we are reading Helen Keller, and it is fantastic. My daughter absolutely loves it. It is so engaging, and I love the activities that, the discussions that are sparked by this. And so we did a narration the other day where I wrote down everything that she narrated out loud to me, and then she read over it, and we talked about it. And those are great. It's a super simple approach. And I think it covers it well. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. So here is her dictation that she read to me. And we kind of did this together. What happened at the beginning of this chapter? What happened in the middle of the chapter? What happened after that? And as she told me, I wrote all the stuff down. And then she came back and she read over it. And it's amazing how the more they do this, the better they get at it. In the very beginning, you're going to have to kind of be patient with your kid and help them a little bit. And don't cause frustration, because then they'll end up hating it. But just a little bit at a time. And if they can't get it, you kind of fill in the blanks for them. And the more they do it, the better they'll get at it. Practice, practice, practice. So the last thing, I guess not last thing, but on day 5 of this guide is a language arts concept. So this is sentences as statements. So we'll learn the difference between a telling sentence, and then there's going to be, this week we did subject and predicate. These are all, you're just introducing this topic, because most first and second graders, they really don't need to know like a ton of grammar yet. I mean, they're still learning to read. And so as we go on, we'll obviously increase in our language arts, but I think this is perfect for her. It lays the groundwork, and then eventually we'll learn more complex information when we get to the place that we can understand it. So reading choices. I do use the books for emerging readers because I have them and I have all my children read through them. But she also does CLE for reading, and I'll cover that in a separate video. And then math, we don't use Singapore math. I know it works great for some people, but for my kids, it just does not. For me as a teacher, it's difficult for me to teach, and just because I don't really understand it, and it's easier for me to come with a different approach. And math is just one of those subjects, kind of have to, it just depends on the kid and how they understand.
I hope this review was helpful. And I just want to encourage you, if you're interested in this program, to go to the Heart of Dakota website. You can order a catalog that has all of their curriculums in it. There is a placement chart inside the catalog. There is a placement chart on the website. You can email them, call them, ask them questions for any needs that you have. And stay tuned for a future video of Bigger Hearts for His Glory.